Aw, come on, man.
It's... It's...
Go for it, dude.
It's Friday! Friday!
It is. And so that means it's hanging out with us as we get you ready for the weekend preview. I've got to figure out a way, and I don't know how to do it yet. Still learning how to get all of the stuff squared away when it comes to all of the fancy levels and audio and things like that. I've got to figure out a way other than boosting the ever-loving blank out of a drop, how I can still have my headphones on, boost the level up to about 190%, still play everything, and not blow my ears out. Work in progress. Hi, it's a Freestyle Friday. John here, you there, Stack Show. And first half hour, we'll kind of take you through what happened late last night. We'll get you through the morning promos as well. 9:30, Michael Parkhurst is going to join us from our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. He and Greg Garza have been very, very busy. They've been in demand for obvious reasons. So we'll have Parky joining us at 9:30. Bradley Wright Phillips from AppleTV is going to be joining us at 10 o'clock. And here's everything that BWP does these days. Analyst on MLS Countdown and MLS 360 and MLS Wrap-Up on MLS Season Pass. So literally analyst on gazillion different programs. So BWP is going to join us at 10 o'clock. We'll break down the quarter poll here in Major League Soccer. Obviously, we'll talk about what he thinks about Atlanta United so far. We'll go through the good, the bad, and the ugly. I imagine that he'll be mentioning a program up the road in Charlotte as a part of his old GBU. And then after BWP exits at 10:20, then we'll get you into the weekend whip around patent pending trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later. And we'll get you in for the rest of the matchups this weekend. So that's the show. Get you through last night, kind of get you set up for the morning. Michael Parkhurst at 9:30, BWP at 10, weekend preview with Atlanta United, the purple team, and everybody else coming up after that for the remainder of that for this show. At noon, Soccer's in Session, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. It is day four of round one of the GHSA playoffs. We're going to be joined by Mike Pettit, the boys and girls coach at Callaway, and we're also going to be joined by Chris Romano in a taped piece as they get ready for their matchup tonight as well. Then we'll get you through your brackets, get you through your stuff. We'll walk you through everything and set up the matchups for today, in addition to kind of looking at next week and where we might be for round two starting on Tuesday. And so that's where we are today. No different than any other Friday where we're flying around and just, raising all kinds of you-know-what. All right, so last night, how many of you, show of hands, stayed up late? I tried. I admit it. Last night, it was a matchup on the girls' side, Team 15 and Team 18 in AAA that we had on the network over on the Mixler app and our Mixler channel. Johnson, Gainesville, and Oconee County with a 4-0 win. You can go back and listen to that match. And any of the matches that we've done this season, you can go back and listen to it in the archive. And it was a match that started about an hour and a half late because of Mother Nature. And so the last time I was at Warrior Stadium for a championship game in high school football for Oconee County, and they ended up getting the win. And the running back at the time for Oconee County that was raising all kinds of you-know-what was Tyson Browning. Larry Munson, Jeff Van Note called that match, and I guess this is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So so last night, for the first time in a very, very long time, I was at Warrior Stadium. Munson and Van Note called the game for us on Georgia Public Broadcasting back in 1999. And then Larry Munson got to talk about that little Browning kid for an extra couple of years as he would go out Georgia 53 into Athens, and he would go play at UGA. But the last time I think I was in that building was for that championship game. And it was fun to be back there last night. Once again, thanks to everybody at Oconee County and with Johnson Gainesville for all the info and the intel to have us do the job that we could with the broadcast. And like I said, we kind of know where we're going early part of next week. And when we really, really know, we'll let you know where we're really, really going. But no, it was fun to be up there last night. Game started late. So naturally, in the coming down of the emotions, Watched a little bit of what happened late last night at BC Place in front of a crowd of north of 50,000. And I don't think that it went the way that Messi and friends thought it was going to go at all. It was a rough night. It was a chippy night. It was a physical night. We'll go over the stats coming up in just a bit. Morning, David. Morning, Sharif. So here's what happened, and it was all Vancouver. How many of you in your hands had Vancouver sitting there going, yeah, I think they'll take care of business at home? I know I didn't. So once again, let's roll through your highlights. Early on, it was a goal for Vancouver, and mama, here goes that man again, Brian White, courtesy of our friends at CONCACAF and FS1.
Gets the middle, it comes. Touch to the edge of the area. Then Brian White! And Brian White remains red hot for Vancouver. And the Whitecaps
Two little chances and decent ones, but they play the little 1-2 here, and he gets off the back there of Max Falcone, Uruguay.
And so that made it 1-0. And like I said, we'll get into the stats coming up in just a little bit. Second half got even more chippy amplified, if that's a hyphenated word that we just created. I mean, you had folks that were getting cards, and you had folks that you thought might have been sent off or should have been sent off. But it was a moment for Sebastian Berhalter, who ended up as man of the match, according to CONCACAF, their own selves. And this was a chance late, coming in transition once again, as Messi and friends are chasing after the equalizer to try to get that road goal before they go back home to the erector set next week. Vancouver in transition gets goal number 2. Once again, courtesy of our friends of CONCACAF and FS1.
One touch to the outside. It's Nelson into the middle. It's behind White and arriving and roughing it into the net. They score. It's Berhalter. It's 2. The Caps in command, and Inter Miami in big, big trouble.
Pull one back. It's a good run as well down that right-hand side. Initially, it was Sabi. Then you can see that Jaden Nelson gets into position. Berhalter there has made the run from midfield. And you can see Brian White nearly on his knees celebrating that. He was at the near post, couldn't get it. Berhalter far post.
That'd be your final 2-0 for the late game. And like I said, it got really chippy, and you were wondering what was going to be let go when it came to whistles and such. And you were wondering what was going to, well, let's see. So wouldn't you know, Inter Miami's the second most searched team on SofaScore. Who knew? All right, so let's take a peek at the numbers. And for statistical comparison and analysis, we'll go through all the stats here. Once again, Messi and friends had 69% of possession. Nice. Didn't matter. When you got a lead, you're going to sit and you're going to just kind of launch it, and it's on you. 2 big chances. No big chances registered for Messi and friends late last night. Total shots, 9 apiece. Takaoka with 2 saves on the night. No big chances, 2 saves for Takaoka. Oscar Ustari had 3. 9 corners for Messi and friends last night compared to 3 for Vancouver. 18 fouls called, 11 of them on Vancouver. 7 fouls, considering the chippy nature of the match. 7 fouls called on Inter Miami. Passes more than double to one another, but no real surprise. 7 fouls, 20 tackles, 16 tackles for Vancouver. 2 yellow cards for Messi and friends, and 3 for Vancouver. And I think one of them was for a dust-up. So 11 fouls, 3 yellows, 7 cards, 2 yellows. Total shots, once again, 9-9. Shots on target, 5-2 for Vancouver. And 4 off target, 2 off target for the home side. 2 block shots for Vancouver, 3 for Inter Miami. Shots inside the box. 6 of the 10 went to Vancouver, which meant that it was obviously 5 and 3 on the flip. Big chances scored once again, 2-0. Touches inside the 18, 24-13 in favor of Miami. Fouled in the final third 4 times. Messi and friends, nothing of it. 1 offside on the night. 1 offside on the night. That's just wild. You look at all of those numbers, then your lineups, and keep an eye on this. Once again, set your fantasy, set your fantasy, set your fantasy. It was Takaoka in net, Ocampo, Blackman, Veselinovic, and Johnson. Midfield of Berhalter, Kubas, and Vite. You heard Nico Moreno talk about Pedro Vite yesterday. Daniel Rios sighting, Brian White and Ali Ahmed going up against the 4-4-2 on paper. Ustari in net, Jordi Alba, Noah Allen, Maxi Falcone, and Chelo Weigand. Midfield of Allende, Redondo, Busquets, and Segovia. And your two in the midfield, Messi, your two up top, Messi and Suarez. So Chelo Weigand registered a 7.5. That was the highest ranking of any player there in Vancouver for the visitors. Falcone and Allen at 7.3s. Messi is 7.3. Segovia is 7.1. Suarez and Busquets 7.0. Everybody else below a 7 on the night. Substitutions for Javier Mascherano, only 2. Yannick Bright came in to give Redondo a bit of a break for 20 minutes, and Benjamin Kremoski came in for 16 to take over for Segovia. So 2-0 right now. That's how it is. Brian White in the 24th, Berhalter in the 85th, and it's going to be a tall order heading back to the erector set, but we know about heading back to that particular building and what it means. And you got to make sure that the building doesn't tilt. And I think that Vancouver, if there's anybody that's the run that Vancouver has been on in both hemispheric competition and in Major League Soccer this year, they're not going to get intimidated by the actions of more than 20,000 at the erector set next time out. So 2-0 lead, both goals at home, and they got the shutout at home, and they get to go back to Fort Lauderdale and register and see if they can get into the finals against the winner of the Liga MX semi and the winner of the Major League Soccer semi. So we'll see what happens in CONCACAF Champions League, brought to us by all of our friends at CONCACAF. So that's the rundown from late last night. And that's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Did not have that on the bingo card. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching, however you are watching us this morning. And when you hit that QR code, you go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You start your day there. And when you check out after you bought the store, don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it in the youth games, youth initiatives, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right. Get you through the promos here once again. Marshall Islands Soccer Federation trying to get the Outrigger Cup squared away, and they're getting closer, and getting closer. 22 days to go, just over 3 weeks. Sorry about that. Now they're north of $19,000. So 7,000 left, and I think the percentage is they're 72% in on their number. And so you're looking at 19,000 of 26.5. 22 days to go for the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation to get the funds needed so they can have the Outrigger Challenge Cup at John Brown University in Northwest Arkansas in mid-August. Once again, if this is something that you are so inclined to help out in the Kickstarter campaign, it'll be good to see if this is going to come to fruition. Once again, this is all or nothing. So if they don't make the 26,573, which is a rounded number, I think it's 30,000 pounds. If they don't get it, then it's not going to happen. So all the money gets refunded if the Kickstarter doesn't go, but we don't want that to happen. 22 days to go, 73 backers so far, $19,004 on a run of 26,573 is what they're looking for. So 28% left in 22 days. So we'll see what happens there. But if you're going to buy the gear for the our friends at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, everything comes from England, including the jerseys from our friends at Player Layer, and they've got the 3 new jerseys for the local teams in the Marshall Islands chain that you can pick up as well. Man, they're going to put me in the poorhouse. But if you order the scarf that you see Maddie Cruz modeling on their website, you get that from the other side of this door. The other side of this door gets the scarf. Everything else comes from England when it comes to the Marshall Islands. Go to Olive & York and get the first ever jersey that we have modeled by our friend Greg Garza. And also by Sophia Cupertino and by Maddie Cruz. You get to see the modeling pictures, blue steel from Greg Garza where he's off to the side. But Olive & York, and you can check with Alex and Abby as to the personalization if you want, brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Beyond Goals mentoring on one sleeve, Soccer for Good on the other sleeve. You can do it in either white letters and numerals or the Carolina blue, Columbia blue, light blue, whatever you want, sky blue, whatever you want to call it. Choice is yours. Consult with them when it comes to sizing, and consult with them when it comes to personalization and what shades you want, and take their advice wholeheartedly. like I said, I'm not a big personalization guy. I just like the jersey as it is. And so check with them about sizing and personalization, but it helps out our Soccer for Good campaign in 2025. Also helping out our Soccer for Good campaign in 2025 is our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. You can get the Soccer's Better in Atlanta sweatshirt and T-shirt. You can get it in red or black. The boss cannot wear anything red in this house, so she has commandeered the black sweatshirt. Golden embossed lettering on the front. You have the SDH logo on one cuff, the Grady Baby logo on the other cuff. Really comfortable sweatshirt. You know me, I'm a big sweatshirt guy. I need more soccer sweatshirts just in general. And it is interesting to see just, the artistry of folks these days. But it's very, very cool from our friends at Grady Baby. And when you invest there, you help out middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta Public School System. So Grady Baby Co., middle school soccer programs, APS here in 2025. Olive and York, Soccer for Good, Beyond Goals Mentoring, Kaiser Permanente, and once again, that's our Soccer for Good campaigns in 25. You can also join our Fanaticos membership program, and what you can do there is for $10 a year, you go to group.chant.fan, let me see if I can do it, group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. Did I do it? I might have, but it might be a thing separate. Nope, but it's not two N's. Good Lord, John. Can't type. Of course, I can't really see the whole thing when I'm sitting here typing a message. Anyway, group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. $10 a year. What do you do for $10? Rhetorical question, but you can help out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025, and you can do some really cool work, and you get some great discounts at a lot of breweries, a couple of restaurants, the Moxie Hotel. If you're a Fanatico, you get a discount. O'Sullivan's in Decatur on gear and on food and on drinks. And also, if you want to go to Chateau Arenal in Costa Rica and hang out there, you get a discount with a code. If you are part of the Fanaticos program, once again, a part of our Soccer for Good campaign, and you can help out there as well when it comes to all that we're trying to do to help grow the game here in 2025. So group.chant.fan, typed incorrectly /soccer down here /join by yours truly, and you can be a Fanatico here in 2025 with everything that we're doing here at SDH. And so that's the quick rundown of everything that you can do. Ricky Smith, no doubt. Shout out to the Whitecaps. Indeed. And Morning Bart. And so Alex, yes. Marietta boys soccer team. They were a 4 seed, I believe, and they in upper. No, I thought they were upper. No, so the upper right, knocking off Lowndes. They're the number 10 team in the scoreboard rankings, and they are taking on a 4 seed. That's where it is. Region 5 Team 2 Marietta beat Lowndes 7-1 in day 1 of the 6A playoffs. Upper right-hand corner, they get to host Discovery 5 days from now. So on Wednesday, Marietta hosts Discovery because Discovery knocked off Carrollton, the 5th-ranked team in the rankings. Because if you were a team that was ranked in rankings, that would make sense. So number 5 Carrollton, Discovery knocks them out. Discovery now goes to Marietta, and on Wednesday, unless schedules permit and you can rearrange your scheduling, Marietta is going to host Discovery. So number 10 has a chance to make it to the quarterfinals. Upper part of the bracket was Lambert and North Gwinnett. Lambert, I believe, got the win there last night. So Lambert at number 4 takes on Campbell. They are hosting Campbell, and so Marietta is hosting Discovery upper right as you follow in your brackets in 6A on the boys' side. In soccer, Alex says he's going to be there to watch, weather permitting. And I assume it's at the Cut, or are they playing on the new campus for the high school? I imagine it's at Northcutt. And by the way, if you haven't been to Northcutt Stadium, the home for Marietta football, it is there. You'll see a stone wall that is around Northcutt Stadium. That was a WPA project back in 1929. They were trying to figure out a way to have a barrier set up at Northcutt Stadium. And so what they asked was all of the local farmers who had extra stone to bring it over to the school. And then that was how they constructed the wall, the stone wall that you see that is there around the football stadium. So it's at Northcutt Stadium in downtown just off of downtown, the square in downtown Marietta. Really cool joint to go and watch anything inside that building just because of the history that's attached to it with Friday Richards and the Stone Project from the WPA, all those kinds of things. So very, very cool stuff there. Michael Parker is joining us in a handful of minutes. And so once again, I imagine he and Greg have been pretty busy this week. Bunch of different things. We'll catch up with Michael about Rhode Island FC and about Open Cup and about mentoring and, yes, about Atlanta United. So that's coming up. Once again, Bradley Wright Phillips joining us at the top of the hour, and we're going to catch up with him about Major League Soccer at the quarter pole and what it's like having what you learned from Kevin Egan. What are you learning from Kevin Egan, Bradley Wright Phillips? That's what we're gonna find out about. Analyst MLS Countdown, MLS 360, MLS Wrap Up on MLS Season Pass. Brought to you by MLS. And once again, shout out to our friend Kirk Reynolds at the MLS's offices to have all of these here guests that we get to have and get to share with you on a weekly basis. All right. I'm going to kind of flip things around a little bit. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We'll start with today, try and get you through the weekend. So today, BN en Español, simulcasting, Liga at 2:45, PSG and Nice. You can get Fanatis, which means you can get all the BNs, Nuestra Tele, CDO, For the Fans, our buddy Nino Torres and Gold TV, Tigo Sports, TIC, Liga 1 Max Pro. You can get it at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. I wasn't done with my promos. And so you can continue to add to your degenerate nature when it comes to everything in and around the sports world and watch it through Fanatis. FS2 has Canadian Premier League, Valor, and Halifax Wanderers at 8, being an Espanol simulcasting Ligue 1. Gold TV, I believe Nino is calling this one, Famalicão and Braga at 3:30. BN Sports Connect has your CAF Champions League at noon and 2, and the Turkish Super League, Besiktas and Hatayspor at 1. ESPN Plus has the Eredivisie at 3. Jägermeister Cup starts in the USL ranks tonight, 7 o'clock, North Carolina FC. How about North Carolina FC and Charlotte Independence? Fox Soccer Plus has Serie B as they get closer to the promotion questions being answered. Who gets to come into Serie A next year? Reggiana Cittadella is going on now. Cesena and Sassuolo is at 2:30. MLSNextPro.com, Toronto FC 2, Chicago Fire 2. That's at 7 o'clock. Paramount Plus, AFC Champions League Elite at 12:30. Serie A at 2:45. Atalanta and Lecce. Partick Thistle and Falkirk in the Scottish Championship at 2:45. Stoke and Sheffield United at 3 o'clock. Viks has UEFA Youth League semis. One match is in the second half. Salzburg and Trabzonspor. AZ Alkmaar and Barcelona's at noon. Women's action, Amazon Prime Video, NWSL at 8 o'clock. Orlando Angels City, DAZN USA. Frauen Bundesliga 12:30. Saudi Women's Premier League at 1:30. Spanish Primera Femenina, Real Madrid and ATLUTD at 1:30. NWSL Plus has Houston and Utah at 8. So that gets you through today. Tomorrow, BN has Ligue 1, English Championship on CBS Sports Network. Orlando and the Atlanta, the purple team in Atlanta, 7:25 kick. It's on Big FOX. Arsenal and Bournemouth at 12:30 on NBC. USA has 2 matches, Chelsea, Everton, Newcastle, and Ipswich, 7:30 and 10. BN en Español, triple header Ligue 1. ESPN Deportes, Bundesliga, and the Copa del Rey final, Barcelona, Real Madrid. Fox Deportes simulcasting MLS and has a Honduras Ligue Nacional Motagua and Real España at 9:30. Gold TV, 2 matches in the Portuguese Premier. Universo simulcasting what's going on USA. Season Pass on Apple TV. We'll go through the ref announcements and everything in hour number 2. MLS Next Pro, Revs 2, NYC 2 at 3, Core and Crown Legacy 7:30. On the Plus, FA Cup Semi, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa at 11:45. Bundesliga, 6 matches. Bundesliga B, 1 match at 2:30. Copa del Rey final at 3. La Liga 2, 10 and 12:20. Jägermeister Cup going on all day. 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 matchups in the USLs. Fox Soccer Plus, doubleheader Canadian Premier League, Golasso Network AFC Champions League, English Championship, MLSNextPro.com, a late-night matchup out there, NBCSports.com, simulcasting Premier League, Paramount Plus, AFC Champions Elite, English Championship, League 1, League 2, Scottish Premiership, Peacock, simulcasting everything. The women, CBS, Big CBS, NWSL. Ion has a doubleheader at 7:30 and 10 to the NA Liga MX Femenil. DAZN USA, Frauen Bundesliga, ESPN Plus, Northern Super League, NWSL. Paramount Plus has NWSL, Peacock simulcasting 4 matches in the USL Super League. Good Lord. That's a lot for a Saturday. Anyway. Whew, time to catch my breath. Time to catch up with our golfing buddy, Michael Parkhurst. What's going on, brother?
John, get some water. Take a shower. I don't know. Golly.
I was trying to run down what's going to be on for folks to watch on TV on Friday and Saturday, and I didn't realize the list was going to be so long. And I'm like, oh crap, there's Parky. I better wrap it up.
There's just a little bit of soccer on this weekend that people can watch.
Yeah. So you've been a busy man recently. Rhode Island FC. You now know what's going on. You got a name for the. Oh, he's sporting the jersey on a Friday. You're the man. You are the man. See, and once again, I told everybody about that. I said that, Beyond Goals Mentoring on one sleeve, Soccer for Good on the other, Kaiser on the front, SDH on the crest.
That's right.
Yeah, see?
Golly.
Right there, man.
It's beautiful.
It is.
I just did a social post. I created a video for social,
okay,
breaking down a goal that will be posted on social with this jersey on.
You are the man and a half. You are absolutely awesome. So let's see. Your stadium for your team has a sponsor. It is now apparently going to be hosting the Major League Rugby Championship game as like one of the first big things in the venue. So you got things moving up there at Rhode Island FC and Open Cup, man.
Yeah, moving and grooving. I'm headed up there next weekend for the big opener against San Antonio next Saturday. And then, midweek the next week, we play the Revs, which is amazing. What an opportunity.
So, all right. How chaotic is this for you because of your history with both of these teams in the past tense and the present tense clashing like this?
Yeah, not too much, honestly. I mean, I really enjoyed my time with the Revs, but I don't have a great connection with the club anymore. So I'm much closer with Columbus and Atlanta, obviously. But I still follow them, obviously, like every other club in the league, but there's no hiding who I'll be rooting for when we play.
Absolutely true. How much RIFC gear do you actually have?
You know what? Not a ton. Because I don't know why that is, John, but it will change when I go up there next week and I ravage whatever they have.
It's like mine. It's like Mr. Parker. Yes.
Yes. Put it on the company card.
Yes.
Thank you.
On the Underhills tab. Yes, absolutely. That's where it's going. The Amex card. You want the Underhills Amex card? I can give that to you. When you have all of these cool things going on, I know that your time has been divided with what's been going on up there with the good, with Beyond Goals Mentoring and the good, and then with what's currently going on with Atlanta United. And I would ask it this way. When was the last time that you were in a situation where a team stumbled out of the gate with a whole lot of promise and was able to turn it around? Were you ever in a situation like that in your playing career?
I honestly, I can't remember a time where we were towards the bottom, a quarter of the way into the season. Mm-hmm. But I mean, last year, and this is obviously a different level, but Rhode Island FC, we were second to bottom midway through the year.
Yep.
And we went on a fantastic run and turned things around. So it's very doable. And I'm still bullish on the rest of the season. I still think the talent's there. I'd be shocked if they don't add another piece in the summertime. It's just a question of getting things together, getting the confidence as a group up, figuring out who plays where and what formation and all that. So I still think that this group is more than capable of winning games. It's just not doing it right now, which obviously is not great. But
I mean, when you see a group step on a rake, or tie their shoelaces together and they don't, and it doesn't go the way that you anticipate. I know obviously for you as a professional athlete, it's frustrating, but for someone who has his heart on his sleeve for this franchise, considering everything that you've been invested, it's that it doubles and triples when it comes to how much you want it to turn over quickly, how much you want it to succeed, because you know what's there. You know some of those folks, you've seen them work, and it's like you're waiting for that one moment, I think, to trigger that run that you're talking about, like you had with the RIFC last year.
For sure. For sure. And honestly, I think it's more of a group mentality and confidence thing than anything else. Because like I said, the talent is there, and obviously it comes down to the manager to motivate and get everybody on the same page, and maybe change the style a little bit to try and get a few points, right? I said that on a podcast the other day. Right now, you're in a situation where you do anything possible or needed to get 3 points.
Yeah.
And then once you have a couple games where you get 3 points, then the confidence is back, and then you can, go out there, do your thing, and play the exciting, beautiful brand of soccer. But right now, I think, this weekend, you'd rather win 1-0 on an own goal, than play beautiful and lose 4-3.
Yeah, and especially in a rivalry game against the purple team in Middle Florida, where you have all of these things combining, where it's the slow start. It wasn't anticipated that it was going to be this way. You're trying to do whatever it takes for a win, just to kind of reverse your fortunes a little bit because of all of the posts that you've hit and the crossbars and the calls and just not getting the results. And you're now amplifying that with a matchup against the team that that you drive each other crazy when it comes to Major League Soccer. So that amplification it's almost X number of times more than it would have been under a normal circumstance, in air quotes.
Totally. And you're right, they have been a little unlucky. I think that the New England game, they should have won. Of course, you get unlucky here and there. And so it happens. And of course, it's easy on the sidelines to say, well, you should have scored 4, but I've never seen a call like that. And I still don't agree with it. I still think that's a good goal for Miguel. I thought the penalty was really soft. It's like, it's just sometimes things are going against you and you need to, make your own luck. And so hopefully they're able to do that, because again, I think it's there. I think they're close. But I know nobody wants to hear that. They just want to see results.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, I think that but being reminded of what you're capable of, I think that's just as important. And I think that, when you and Greg have those opportunities with the 9 gazillion mentees that you have and that you have the influence of, I think just being reminded, and we see this from Ronnie a lot in post-match pressers and during the week, he's constantly speaking the positive. There isn't any ishing going on about, well, no, they just need to get their head screwed on straight or whatever. There's always that positive reinforcement that's there. I know that you and Greg do that as well when it comes to your mentoring, but to have a manager that is just as impactful in a professional situation with all those positives, I think that's just as key. And saying it publicly, I think, is just as important.
Totally. Because the easiest thing is to say, oh, we need to work harder. We need to focus more. It's not a lack of effort. When you watch the game, I watch the games and I don't see a lack of effort. It's not that. And so it's just little things here and there that need to come together. And I think they will. But yeah, and I agree with the manager. I see what he's saying, and it's not obviously what all the fans want to hear. They want to hear exactly why is it that we're losing or we're not playing well, and fix it. But as we know, it's not that easy all the time to pinpoint things and get everybody on the same page and get the confidence of the group and confidence of the individuals, and limit the little small mistakes individually. Right? It's a big picture thing for sure.
How much positive reinforcement do you and Greg do with your mentees?
A lot. And I think it's important because we don't know how much they're getting of that outside of our conversations, right? From mom and dad, from coach, from whoever, right? Teacher in school. And I think everybody can always use some positive reinforcement, some, hey, what have you done well? That's one of the things I love to ask kids is, hey, give me a win that you've had in the past couple weeks. And I don't necessarily mean the biggest win on the field, right? Something you overcame, right? Was it a test you studied hard for and it went well? Or I don't know, you mastered a juggling trick or whatever it is, right? Give me a win, right? Focus on some positives and say, hey, good job, man. Like, congrats. That's great. Keep winning. And I think we can all use more of that.
What was the last win that you had?
The last win that I had, that's a great question, John.
So if you look at yourself in the mirror and go, so Michael, what was the last win that you had? What would you answer to yourself?
The last win that I had was, I'll say yesterday. I had a very, very productive day. Just in general, very focused as far as getting ish done that I needed to get done, that maybe I've put on the back burner, or just, sometimes things come up and like, oh, I could do this or that. And very productive day. And I take that as a win.
Well, I mean, but there's a reason we call it ish. It's because it's like, we don't want to touch it. We don't want to have anything to do with it. I mean, but I think that, to your point, and I go back to one of the best movies of all time, The Replacements, where Jimmy McGinty, who is anything but a traditional coach, Pat, Gene Hackman, in one of his roles as the crusty NFL-ish kind of a coach, he has a meeting. He has a team meeting with all of the players, and these are the guys that are assembled together. They're brought together, and Keanu Reeves is their quarterback, and they have that one game where things are going wrong. And so it's like, all right, I want to take this energy and I want to talk about quicksand. And everybody's like, quicksand. And it's the idea of one thing going wrong, then another, and another. And you just get stuck in quicksand, and there's no way to try to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
When you have these discussions, whether it was as a professional athlete or as a mentor these days, have you been in that situation where you're trying to get out of the quicksand and trying to talk to folks about getting out of it, whether you're the one who's pulling the rope or whether you're the one that might be a part of being in the quicksand? Have you ever had any of those kind of moments?
Oh yeah, absolutely. For sure. I mean, I think back to, I can't remember. I think it must've been 2017. We went like, I don't know, 8 games without a win, something. It was like right in the middle of the season. And it was not going well. We weren't losing all those games, but we weren't winning. And that's tough on a locker room. So I understand, how the group's feeling over there in Atlanta. It's difficult, right? And you see it at the end of the game where there's no accountability from players to stay and talk to media. Right? I think I saw something where it was the 2 young guys, Noah and
Jay.
Yeah. And Jay, that talked to the media. And that's just a small example. But yeah, for sure, within our mentees, we talk about it too. And that's why we try and say, hey, it's really important to try and snap back really quickly. And the big reason is we don't want to snowball. And we know that once a snowball starts going, it becomes tougher and tougher to stop it and reverse it. And so the easiest time and the quickest time to do it is right away. And so can you bounce back quickly? And so that's what we try and give the kids the tools to do, is to refocus and adjust quickly before that snowball gets too big.
Are adults better at addressing the snowball, or are youth better at addressing the snowball and turning things around these days?
That's a good one. I think that.
Well, and I mean, it might just be case by case, but having to break it down individually. But I mean, because of the reason I ask is because, when you were young, I'm sure that, addressing the snowball was different than when you were a professional athlete. And when I was a kid back in the 1780s, when James Oglethorpe colonized this state that we're based in, I'm sure it was like, rub some dirt on it, that kind of a thing. Just, dust yourself off and get your what back out there. So I don't know if it's a generational thing where younger players are easier at addressing it versus adults. And that's why I wanted to know, when it came to your ideas, who was easier.
Yeah, I think that the smaller the snowball, the kids are bouncing back quickly. Mm-hmm. And I think that we as adults tend to just brush it off, like you said. And like, we know, okay, if the snowball gets really big, we can address it and figure it out. But until then, I'll just ignore it, or forget about it or whatever. But I think the younger generation, or at least we're trying to help them, is, hey, no, just address it now, fix it now, get over it now. That way, because they're not usually equipped to get over the bigger snowballs, and those can be much tougher for younger players and people.
You mentioned Noah and Jay, and specifically, they have come up through the system. They were academy. Noah was a 15-year-old going up against dudes that were twice his age in USL Championship, and he wasn't flinching, and Jay hasn't done any of that either when it comes to going up against folks that might be 10, 12 years older than he is. And you can sense in them, and not just after the loss last week, but you can sense in them the pride that's attached with working through the system, coming through the academy. And, when you sit there and you grab the crest and you sit there and you grab it and you kiss it, and they know what that means when it comes to their day-to-day. When you see your mentees have that kind of pride as well, what's it like for you to sit there and say, oh, okay, they get it. They understand what it means to have that logo on the shirt and what they got to do 120% of the time?
Yeah, that's a great feeling. I think that it's fantastic when a player has that pride within their team, because that they're willing to go the extra mile, to really stand up for their teammates, to really commit everything, which is what you hope every athlete finds the place to do. But I also think that it speaks to those two guys' mentality of maturation. And that's the reason why they have, and one of the reasons, a big reason, why they have progressed all the way through. Because I'm sure there's been more talented players probably than both of them in the academy at one point or another. But as we know, it's not just talent that gets you there, right? These guys understand the process, and they understand what it takes mentally and physically to continue to get to the next level and keep pushing it. And so, yeah, they're not going to be in awe of many situations, because they've got a good head on their shoulders, and they've prepared for these moments. And so, yeah, that's a big part of it.
What about for those adults or those other talented folks that come into that situation and may not understand what it means? They did in their previous locations, and they understood what it meant then. But when it comes to, you're with Atlanta United as an example. So you have a player who comes in who doesn't understand what it means to be a part of Atlanta United. What are the conversations like early on with those new additions to a roster to sit there and say, no, it's a big deal here? What kind of conversations? How do you impress upon those new folks coming into a situation what it means and what it should mean?
Well, I think, it's easy to lecture, but it's tough for the other person to sometimes take it in, right? It depends on the individual. And so our biggest piece of advice is find someone that's been there for a while, and make sure you're sitting at their lunch table and listening to what they're talking about and what they say. And find a good pro that's been a pro for a really long time, or been at this club for a long time, and watch what they do over a week. And not just on the field, right? What time do they get to the training grounds? What do they do before training? What do they do after training? How are they taking care of their body? All those things, like watch, learn, right? That way I don't have to tell you, right? Just use your eyes, and, you'll see it. So, that's definitely our biggest piece of advice. That way we try and keep the lecturing down as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, when you're and right these days as a mentor, what you want to do is you want to have conversations with. You don't want to lecture.
For sure.
Because especially with the younger athlete today, they don't like I don't think that they really take a whole lot to being lectured to. I think that if your conversation is, and correct me if I'm wrong, if the conversation's honest and there's give and take where they can sit there and feel like they can speak freely with you, even if you are, Michael Parkhurst in bold font and, capital letters and everything. I think that if there's an honest give and take, the constructive criticism, they can take it, and they take it well. Whereas if you come out of the blocks and you're just straight, finger pointing and lecturing, it's just going to be like, all right, I'm changing the channel. I'm out the door.
Totally. And that's what That's what good leadership is, right? It's not just leading, it's asking, it's questioning, it's listening. And so, yeah, in our sessions, of course, we try and ask questions, and we try and have the mentee speak, 40, 50% of the time, right? What do you think? What do you see? How did you feel? What do you think you could have done differently? All right. In all these different situations that we talk about. And then we can say, hey, yeah, have you thought about this? Or what about that? Or, this is how I dealt with this, when I had a similar situation type thing. But yeah, it's a delicate balance.
So if you were in the Atlanta United locker room and you were to have those kinds of conversations, how would you want a conversation like that to go? You're asked to speak to the current roster. You go
in the current situation.
In the current situation. So if you, in the current situation, you are asked to go in and have a conversation behind closed doors. I'm asking you to have a closed door conversation and let me know what you would say in a closed door conversation, basically. I don't think you're going to come at it with the hairdryer. There might be moments where you would, but what are the main talking points that you would have to the folks in the room?
Without going into individuals, I would try and keep it more of every team goes through points like this in a season, every team, no matter what. And the ones that come out of it together and figure things out are the strongest teams at the end of the season, right? They have figured it out, and they've been battle tested, and they've regrouped, and they've figured it out. And when they figure it out, they're going to go through another period throughout the season, right? Or maybe in a game. And you have to be able to look at each other and bounce back quickly, right? In a playoff game, you don't have time, right? You have to bounce back quickly. There's going to be different moments. And, this is a moment for them, and they have to pull together. And the other thing I would say is, like, guys, you're Atlanta freaking United. Like, you need to have a chip on your shoulder to say, we are ballers and we are the better team. Whether you believe it or not, or whether it's true or not, that's the belief you need to have. And so, hey, we're going to go out there and we're going to show that we deserve, or we think that we deserve, right, to be the ballers of this game. And does that mean we need to dictate the game the whole time? No. But that means even if we're defending for 60 minutes, we can still put fear in the other team by counterattacking, right? There's different ways to put fear into the other team. And, I think that they're still capable of doing that, but it definitely starts with some belief and some knowledge that, hey, we have each other's back and we're going to get out of this. And, maybe start with just getting a point this weekend.
When was the last time you stood up in a room and had to give a speech like that?
It's been a while.
How'd that feel?
I don't really love giving speeches. I did it as infrequently as I could when I was playing. But I think that also helps it go over stronger. The message comes out stronger because, if you're yapping all the time, you get tuned out.
Yeah, because if someone like you that is the quiet, confident leader, that's like you want your actions to do it most of the time, because when you do stand up, everybody's like, oh, you know what? Oh, ish. Look, if Parky's standing up and he's talking and he's addressing the room, then he's really got something on his mind that he wants all of us to hear. I mean, who were those quiet leaders when you were playing, outside of when you were the leader? Who were the leaders that you learned from when you were playing?
Yeah, Jeff was for sure a quiet leader within the team, right? He just took no ish, like, on or off the field. But also he was like, a guy you could talk to off the field, and everybody respected, and he went about his business, right? Jeff, for every single year, felt like he had something to prove. That somebody doesn't respect me, somebody doesn't think that I'm good enough. And every year it was, I need to show it. I need to prove why that's not the case. And so, that's an incredible mentality to have. And it's why he played for so long and had so much success. But he was definitely a quiet leader. I had a really good captain in Norshland who was, I respected a lot. And he was the same way. He was loud when he needed to be, but just, really had the respect of a lot of the guys, everybody actually. And I think that for me, it's about showing up every day and doing the little things. Are you out there grinding every day with everybody else and doing it? And that's why Darlington is a leader as well, right? The guy doesn't take days off. It's incredible. And he's not loud and he's not the rah-rah and he's not going to, really talk in a huddle and things like that. But everybody respects him. And that's because he does everything the right way.
All right. So what's with BWP coming up in a handful of minutes? We got the Purple Team coming up this weekend. What's your favorite Purple Team memory?
Ooh, gosh. So many.
I was going to say, other than beating them every single match when it mattered.
Yeah. Joseph scoring.
Bothering, yes.
Yeah.
Bend your face.
What was that? What goal was that? That was the all-time record for a season?
Yeah, it was the Bendick face where he's hopping up and he looks and Bendick's just like, the Bendick face goal. But yeah, we got BWP coming up in a couple of minutes.
That's the favorite memory for sure.
Yes. All right. So what's going on at Beyond Goals these days?
What is going on? We finished up high school talks, still onboarding our newest member. I'm setting up high school talks up here in Ohio for the first time. So
there you go.
Doing that as well, expanding and trying to put together a camp for Thanksgiving.
Well, there you go. So is there going to be like turducken for the camp MVP? Are you going to have stuff like that?
Turducken.
Yeah, when you get the Madden, the Madden MVP, it was always like the turducken, and you get the leg of the turducken if you're a team MVP on Thanksgiving.
Okay, I like that. TBD.
Okay.
TBD.
So when you look at all of these, all this stuff with Beyond Goals, I mean, we got playoffs going on down here. What's it like to expand into Ohio?
Yeah, it's a different season, right? So up here, we play high school soccer in the fall. So, having these conversations in the late summer is what we're setting up for. But yeah, I'm excited. Because, it's just broadening our horizons and getting to speak with more athletes. And that's always a good thing.
How many mentees do you guys have right now?
Oof.
11 gazillion?
Yeah, I don't know. Hundreds.
What's that? I mean, what's it like to have hundreds of folks knocking on your door and asking you and Greg for mentoring advice?
It's awesome. We love it. That's why we do it. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's really cool to think that we're helping people out and they're appreciative. And that's why they keep coming back, honestly.
So, all right. So next week, when are you leaving to go to Rhode Island?
Thursday.
Okay. So Friday morning, a week from today, if you are at Centerville Bank, can you crash the party in like 9:30 and come in with your phone and just kind of give us a tour about the stadium if you're there?
You text me and remind me, yes.
Oh, that'd be sweet. See, because you get to give the walking tour. You wear the hard hat and everything. And
gosh, if we need hard hats on the day before the opener of the, we're in trouble.
That's true. So that wearing your Rhode Island FC gear. How about that?
There we go.
All right. So where's Deacon?
In her spot, John, as always, just living the tough life.
Yes, absolutely.
With her strawberry.
Yes. All right. So I'm gonna do a crossover here because we have cleared into hour number 2, and coming in early, believing in the Tom Coughlin.
Of course he is. He's a true pro.
True pro. So we're gonna do a crossover here, starting hour number 2. We welcome BWP to the proceedings, and
what's up?
BWP, Michael Parkhurst is with you as he's on his way out the door. And here's analyst from MLS Countdown, MLS 360, and MLS Wrap Up on MLS Season Pass. It's MLS BWP here with Michael Parkhurst.
Big time.
What's up? What's up? Can you guys hear me good?
You're good, man.
Parky, I can't believe you're leaving, bro. It'd have been nice to chat to you.
Nobody told me that you were going to be on, Brad,
I didn't know, man.
Get the heads up.
I didn't know. You got to come on the show, actually. You have to come on the show.
You let me know. You let me know.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Michael, before you go, and I know that the fourth has held up the banner here. What question do you have for BWP?
Ooh.
And don't think
toughest thing about the new gig.
I think in the beginning, great question, by the way. The hardest part for me was trying to be myself. Like just how I jump onto this podcast, just like right this second. I'm trying to get that more, be myself, analyze the game, say what I think, but sounding like Bradley. When I first got on, I was trying to sound, and I felt like I sounded like other people. Now I don't care if the word I use is a little bit different. I want you to know who I am while I'm talking about this game. That was the hardest part.
All right. So BWP, question for Michael Parkhurst.
That's a tough one. No, okay. You weren't the biggest centre back, but I found you one of the most difficult to play against. How did you gain your advantages?
Using my brain. I had to avoid physical confrontation, right? Because every striker, even yourself, was stronger and faster than me. So anytime I was in a 50-50 was no bueno for me. So I had to be there before them. So I had to know where the ball was going, give myself the extra moment, and always have my brain on. I couldn't relax because just didn't have the physical tools to just be lazy and make up for it.
It felt like that,
right?
playing against you. It felt like that. Sometimes I'll do like a double movement or try and spin somewhere. I would look over when you're there. I'm like, why are you here even? I meant to have left you on the first one. But yeah, credit to you. It was tough. You had to think playing against Mike.
All right, so Mike, are you looking at BWP's hips in a situation like that? Are you looking at the running back and sitting there going, okay, the hips are going this way, and I'm just going to follow him there? What are you looking at?
No, there's not time for that. It's more what I see and what I would do, what I think strikers will do. Like, oh, where's the space? Where should he run? Right. And then going to those areas. And obviously you see it time and time again. And Brad and I play against each other a lot. And so after the first few times, you get a sense of like, okay, he likes to make these movements. He likes to do certain things. And then you're just trying to guess a little bit here and there, right? Sometimes you just, especially on crosses and stuff, it's like, I got to just put myself in the best position that I think it's going to go to. And then, a little bit of luck helps out. But yeah, I'm not looking at the body position so much as where I think he should go. But Brad was one of the great ones along with Wando. It was like what he's talking about, double movements, right? A lot of strikers don't make double movements. It's easier, right? But the double movements really throw the center backs off. But him and Wando and Landon, the smarter guys, always so much more difficult to defend
Cap,
against.
as always, thanks for dropping by when you can. I will text you about your time at Rhode Island FC next week, and we can get the tour of the new stadium. Thanks, as always, for dropping in. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
Parky, good to see you, mate. I'm going to catch up with you, Parky.
All right.
Likewise.
All right. So now it is time for BWP to drop by. And thanks, first off, for coming in on a Friday. I know that you're getting prepped for everything. What I wanted to do here on SDH AM, other than welcome you properly and give you golden ticket status, blocks, so to come in on any Friday from 10 until whenever, because this is traditionally the hour of chaos where folks can come in and crash and say their piece, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and they can go.
I like that.
So Parky kind of took one of my questions.
Okay.
About, no, it's all good. That's what we're here for. So what's it like for you sitting at the table and doing the gig that you got now, where you get to put up with our buddy Kevin Egan on the week?
First of all, Kevin, what a guy, man. Our show, 360, you need to have energy. You need a good host, and Kev is, perfect. He's the perfect person for it because he doesn't take a moment off, does his research, does his homework, he's enthusiastic. I sit right next to him, so that energy just falls onto me. Sometimes I'm tired and moody. I want to be a bit, just relax, and Kev's just like punching me. He's amazing. What a guy. But it's very different, obviously, being an analyst now and being in the studio, because I was the guy on the pitch, trying to ignore these headlines, trying to ignore the media and what they thought, trying to get my head down this. The transition was tough. I found it hard talking about players I knew. You have to get over that because you don't want to offend anyone. But I got some advice from my dad, and it was just, anything you would say to someone's face, then you can say it on TV, and that stuck with me. And now I find it easier to talk. I find it easier being myself, and that's thanks obviously to the staff and then the crew I have with me.
Two big topics that I do want to borrow you on here this morning over the next 15 minutes. Basically, the good, the bad, and the ugly here at the quarter pole, and I do want to ask specifically about what you think about Atlanta United. What direction do you want to go first?
Good, the bad, and the ugly.
All right, so good, the bad, and the ugly at the quarter pole. Who's the good?
The good are Vancouver, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vancouver have been brilliant. Sorensen's done a great job. Even if you watched them last night in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, this is not luck. This is a well-coached team with very good players that, us in this league, because they're not superstars and, they weren't playing at big clubs abroad. We almost don't want to give these Brian Whites and Ryan Golds and these players, Takaoka, the keeper, Veselinovic, Blackman. These guys are stars right now. This season, they are stars. And depending on how the season goes, they should be recognized as that.
All right, so that's good in the Western Conference, good in the Eastern Conference outside of Messi and friends.
I have to say, I'm torn between three teams, obviously the three teams below, because I think Columbus, this is a team I love dearly. I only spent a year in Columbus, but the way they treated me there, the football they played, it's just a great place to play football. And Wilfred Nancy's gone in there after Caleb and done a great job. I just think, I thought at the beginning of the season, they would struggle a bit. No Cucho. They lose Ramirez. That was a player that could come off the bench or start and get you goals. And I thought maybe maybe that last little bit, the X factor is going to be tough, but they're still up there. They're still up there. They're still coached well. Wilfred Nancy is a very good coach. So I have to put him in. I think that's a very good start to the season for him. Then Cincinnati, looking at them, they haven't blown me away with performances. But again, it's a team that's built on some real defensive foundations. They work for each other, real team ethic around that squad. They're getting players back now. Evander's he's a very, very top player. Yeah, they're getting him going. And with players to come back, I just think they just get stronger and stronger. And then Charlotte. Because Charlotte, if you ask me, I'm not, this early in the season, I know it's 10 games coming up now. I'm not putting them, where are they in the league now? Second?
Yeah, they're right there.
They're
part of that gaggle, yeah.
Yeah, so credit to Dean Smith and his boys. They still got to get Wilfred Zaha going. Imagine when he starts playing really well. Again, you're looking at a strong team. So I'd say that's the good in the East.
All right, so bad, East or West? Take your pick.
I'll go West first.
Okay.
I have to throw the Galaxy in there because they are the Galaxy.
Yeah.
It's one of the probably the biggest team, the most famous team in MLS. And when you see them in the league position they are, it's got to be tough for Greg Valley. Obviously, they've had their issues, but yeah, I've got to throw that in bad. The West as well, I'll just leave it with that, actually. Bad in the East, and this ain't the worst, and I'm with you guys now. This is more because, the frustration. When I'm going to say Atlanta because, yeah, when you spend the money you did, especially on the attack, me as an avid football fan, I was excited to watch Atlanta United. Almiron coming back. I've played against this team. I've played against Atlanta when they are the top team at the Benz. It is a horrible place to play. Daunting. Honestly, if you don't get a good start, forget about it. You're going to feel like you're getting run over for a day and a half. It is a very tough place to play. It is. So I thought those days were coming back, with this new front line. And I've been a little bit disappointed because I know the talent that's there. I know it can be put together. They just look a bit indecisive. The balance is off, and I'm not sure what they're trying to do. So for me, that's bad in the East because what I expected, I wanted to see more from that side.
All right, so we'll bookmark Atlanta and push them to the back. Ugly in the East and the West.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Ugly in the East and the West. What's ugly?
Montreal.
It's tough to say Montreal's ugly because the fixtures, the schedule wasn't kind to them. Beginning of the season, they have to play 7 or 8, 7 games away from home.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm in that locker room, if I enjoy that. I don't know how, you get through a stretch like that. So it's tough to say.
You put the roof back on the Big O and turn that into a functioning place, probably.
Yeah, it's true. It's tough for me. Have you got any suggestions for me?
Well, I was thinking, for me specifically, man, allergies are killing me.
They've been kicking my ass this morning.
So, I would have said, obviously, Montreal with their rough start.
Yeah.
And you look at the bottom, I would have initially said somebody like New England, but then Caleb Porter found something.
Yeah.
DC, I don't know how folks made it off the tarmac in San Jose after what happened for the ride home. I really don't.
DC is a good shout because while they do have a great goal scorer, DC they've been tough to watch early in this season. They've been really tough to watch. Troy Lasena, I know, spent a little bit of Troy when I was at Red Bull, and he understands the game. I know what he's trying to do. He wants to play a decent side of football, also with that counter press thrown in there. And it hasn't looked pretty, but they did get a good result at Red Bull, which is not an easy place to go to. So I didn't put them in the ugly because I'm a fan of seeing teams turning around, turning that corner. As soon as I see a little glimmer of hope, I look out for that, So I don't really have an ugly right now.
You know, and then ugly in the West, since you had LAG as a bad.
Yeah.
Ugly, I mean,
I'd say, go on, Kansas City, yeah.
Yeah,
Kansas City, again, similar to the Galaxy. It's a team that we expect, like to be playing a good style of football, a team that we always expect to be competing in the playoffs. And when you see them as low as they are, or not stringing together some good results, more often than not, yeah, you may have to put them in that bad category.
All right. So
very ugly.
No, yeah, that's all good. The man who has 3 business cards with, or actually 4, if you just want to separate them all out. Analyst MLS Countdown, Analyst MLS 360, Analyst MLS Wrap Up, MLS Season Pass, Bradley Wright Phillips. We are now at halftime, turning into the second half. And I want to break things down with you. You mentioned Atlanta United in the bad.
Yeah.
So I asked Parkey, I said, if you were in that locker room, because he and Greg Garza do a lot of work with their mentoring aspect now. They've got, I think, 250 student athletes that they mentor with Beyond Goals Mentoring. And I said, okay, with your history with this franchise and your now mentoring currency that you have, if you were to wander into that locker room and talk to these guys, even though you weren't necessarily a talker all the time, but you had to stand up and say stuff, what would you say? And so it's like, look, it's going to turn around. And the conversation's going to be there, but just keep pushing and pushing, and the moments will come, and then it will snowball in the positive from there. Unlike the snowballing that's been going on so far. When you see Atlanta, you mentioned obviously putting them in the bad because of the expectations, but what else have you noticed about Atlanta United this year in 2025?
I mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's just that I don't know if it's like the defense is trying to play one way, and the attack is doing another thing. I don't know what they're trying to do. I can only imagine if I was, coaching that side, and I'm by no means a great coach. It just looks to me like it's a team that, they shouldn't play like Columbus or San Diego. A team that looks like they're suited more in transition moments. When I think of Saba on the right, he's great running into space. He's great getting on the end of passes. Latte Lat has pace to burn, pace to spare. I would like to see him more, out on the run, getting onto through balls and being set free, running in behind. Almiron, when he plays on the right, I don't think it's been as effective because I think he's lost a couple of yards, but I do think he can still do that central 10 roll ways, dropping into pockets, turning and creating from there, and driving, breaking lines. I just don't see a real way of them playing. I don't see, the things that make them dangerous, the things that I just said, I don't see them doing that enough. So I think if I walked into that locker room, I'll be trying to, get the boys all playing one way. If I'm Latte Lat, I'll be talking to the centre backs or the midfielders. When you see me in this place, let's run. Just play me in behind, Play me in behind. Even if I don't get it, we're up the field and we're attacking in their half. I think they're in a place now where it can't just be you can't just rely on Dyla. Obviously, it's his responsibility, but the senior players in that locker room have to come together. I remember whenever we were going through hard times, especially at Red Bull, we start from the beginning again. We start from the basics. First 15 minutes, maybe we play in their half. Don't concede. Then we get to past that 15 minutes, it's a different task. And before you know it, it's halftime. The result's better than it was last weekend, and there's something to build off. I think they have to go back to basics and forget talent for a minute. Is get together, be hard to beat, and then take steps from there.
What about somebody like an Alexei Miranchuk, who we know his artistry?
Yeah.
And we know what he is capable of, almost like that point guard that you see in basketball.
Yes.
Who knows where folks need the ball. But it's like we talk about positional gravity, and it's something that you know a lot about, considering that when you had the ball, you had like 9 dudes just come and collapse upon you. But that also means that 8 other guys are open at that particular moment. When you see someone like Miranchuk with his artistry, and he played a little deeper against NYC at times because they were trying to come back, and you saw what he's capable of. What about somebody like Miranchuk in this?
You hit the nail on the head. When I look at Miranchuk, like there's been a couple of times where he's had to go in that 6 role and build the game for Atlanta. If they are going to build, if they do want to play that way, he has to be in that 6 role because he's really good on the half turn. And I think him playing in the 6 takes a lot of responsibility. I don't want to say that he's a man that is not built for that moment, but I think when you play him in the 10, we all look at him and be like, okay, make something happen. We look at him in that Evander role, in what Almiron is coming here to do. And I think it's a little bit unfair on him. So if you play him in the 6, I think he's really good, like I said, at getting on the half turn. Then he can find those players. when you put him in a 10, I don't think he's a man for the big moments in every game. I think you see more of his qualities playing deeper on the field, deeper down the field, and I think that will help Atlanta a little bit more.
And, in this system that Ronnie currently has formationally, it's a 4-2-3-1. You're dealing with 2 6s. You have guys like Bart Sleesh, who he's got a bit of a mean streak to him, but you're also seeing younger players like Jay Fortune step up. You see Mateus Click, who was brought in from D.C. for a pack of Pall Malls, some Hostess Twinkies, and a box of matches. And, when he gets healthy, I know what he can bring to the table as well. When you look at the rest of this roster outside of that attacking four, what else do you see?
I see good players, especially if you're getting the right ones on the field. I see good players. I see a team that can play both ways. I see a team that could play in transition, and I see a team that could build if the right players are in the right spots. This is why I put them in the bad, because I don't get why I'm not seeing it. There's no excuse. It's a good roster. I'm seeing teams with, if you take Austin, for example, that roster is not better than Atlanta's, but they've got some kind of togetherness. They're hard to beat, and they're somehow right now up the table. So
but they can't score. It's like you bring in all this you bring in all this heavyweight talent, and Vasquez has 2.
Yeah.
Bakari
on the. Yeah, it hasn't been good enough. You're right. That's what I'm saying. For them in the attacking third, it hasn't been good enough. But they can still be up the top of the table.
Yeah.
So for me, why is Atlanta not doing something similar? I'm not saying play that style of football.
Right.
But I'm saying, at least putting these performances where, okay, the attack's not going well, but you don't just come to the bends and beat us.
Right.
This is a difficult team. This should be a difficult team to play against.
Then you dropped a whole lot of AM to bring in Robert Taylor away from Messi and friends to help out with your offense. 3-minute warning. I know I'm keeping you to a clock.
No, you're good.
All right. So this weekend it is Atlanta and the Purple Team in Central Florida. See, the thing is, the only way that we can mention the O word here is if we sing it like Book of Mormon. So literally, we have to say Orlando if we're going to say that. Otherwise, they're just the Purple Team.
You're good. I used to do that when I played for the Red Bull. I would call the New York City the Blue Team. So yes. I get it, man. I get it.
So Atlanta United and the Purple Team coming up this weekend. When you see this kind of a rivalry match like you did with Red and Blue, what sticks to mind in this matchup for you?
So you're talking about gameplay first of all?
Yeah,
I'll talk about gameplay first of all, and I'll talk about how I would go into those games. So I think gameplay, the game's there for the taking for both teams. Both teams not in a great place. So if I'm in each locker room, I'll go into that game thinking we can win this. If we just do ABC, we can win this game. For Orlando, at the moment, that front four that started off so well and not firing on all cylinders, they're struggling. And that plays into your hands. I think if you can make the game difficult in the first half, then you're looking at maybe getting a good result. But I expect to see fireworks. These are the kind of games that can turn your season. These kind of games for Atlanta now, if you get a big win here and build momentum from this place, you can look back come, October and whatever and say, you know what, when we played that game, when we beat one of our rivals, I think that's where you can put, a stamp where the season started to change for them.
All right, last question for you. The time to cut the promo, because you are on MLS Countdown, MLS 360, and MLS Wrap-Up on MLS Season Pass as MLS Bradley Wright Phillips. I feel like now MLS needs to be in front of every single aspect of your name with everything that you're doing up there with Apple these days. What's going on this weekend? When do you go into production meetings? When do you get to see Kevin Egan? Cut the promo for me, what folks should expect this weekend.
Okay, so I'll head up to Connecticut on Saturday morning. I'll get to the studio maybe 2:30, sit down, gather my thoughts, and that's when you start seeing the boys come in. First of all, production meeting. And then we'll go on air for the first countdown, maybe 6:30. After all the prep's done for those few hours, 6:30, do an hour, just building up the games, building some excitement, letting you know our opinions. And then straight after that, won't even move from the studio, 360. And that's when it gets hectic. And that's where your boy Kev comes in and just gets that energy going. We just got a bunch of games going on, a bunch of goals, bunch of key plays. Just a lot of fun. It's a long time, but that's like the most fun you can have in 5 to 6 hours, honestly. It's brilliant. And
what's
after that, go on.
I was going to say, what's it like flying without a net for 6 hours?
It's crazy because you're watching, so the monitor will be to our right somewhere. So I want to focus on the show, but I also want to see what's happening in the game. So when we do go to that key play, I have some good feedback for you. I have some good analysis. There's been times where you get caught, you might miss a goal. It comes up as a key play. We get to watch it, obviously, but I haven't seen the build-up. So I don't even know how this goal's come about. You know what I mean? So it's hard really focusing on the game that's on the screen, what you guys might be seeing, and focusing on getting little nuggets for you guys. So when you see that key play, giving you the information. It's crazy. It's carnage.
It is. But the thing is, you may not be able to see the buildup, but then you get to see the buildup on MLS wrap-up, right?
Facts. So the wrap-up is it's probably the show where you get to really talk about what you saw in a game, because we've seen them all on the Saturday, and now we do the wrap-up on Sunday night after Sunday Night Soccer. So now I've seen all those goals. Now I've seen all those build-ups. Now I've heard all the talks, what people think and what my opinions are. So wrap-up, you can really have conversations. That's why you see it's a more laid-back vibe. We're in the sofas. You know, we're in the comfy seats and we're talking and really dissecting these games and our thoughts on the weekend.
Especially after sitting in a hard chair for 6 hours. As always, you are officially now golden ticket status. You have the garage door opener. You know where the spare key is. And so anytime you want to come in and crash in this hour of chaos as we get the weekend prepped, you know you can.
I like that. Thank you for that invitation. I'll be taking you up on that.
Golden ticket status is yours. Bradley Wright Phillips, once again, Analyst MLS Countdown, Analyst MLS 360, Analyst MLS Wrap-Up, Analyst MLS Season Pass, Analyst SDH AM. There, I went ahead and said it. I've added you to the business card. BWP, as always, thanks for dropping by, my friend. We'll see you soon. Appreciate you, Joe. You're doing a great job, man. Keep it up. All right. See, because I know you're going to come down and kick my ass if I Be safe. See you later. All right. See now, and Jason's going to come in here in a little bit, and he's going to look at that lid that BWP had, and he's going to go respect. You know, he's got the cap, much like Jason does. When Jason's not wearing the straight lid, the SDH lid, he's got the schoolboy lid going wherever BWP was. But no, it's great to have BWP on. And like I said, like I told him, I said, look, you've got the garage door opener, man. Anytime that you want to drop in, you can. So there you go. So it's very, very cool to get BWP in, to get Kevin in, to get Tyler Terrens in. Tyler came in 3 times in a week. He was that jacked about dropping by. And so, anytime that and this is what I want to do when we don't have a guest at 10 o'clock on a Friday like BWP or anybody like that. First off, it was kind of cool to see the interplay between Michael Parkhurst and Bradley Wright Phillips. But I want to have a lot of different opinions as this is the last hour of the week here as we get you ready for everything going on in Major League Soccer. Not just necessarily Atlanta United going up against the Purple team this week, but in and around Major League Soccer on the whole. So the hour of chaos, let it be the hour of chaos. Tyler comes in. He wants to talk about his game. Great, fine, cool. BWP wants to talk about the league. Great, fine, cool. Parky wants to come on late. He wants to talk about everything going on with Atlanta United. Cool. Glenn Davis wants to come in. He can come in perfectly fine. Glenn Crooks wants to come in perfectly fine. When they all walk in the door for the first time, they get the garage door opener. Literally, it's right there for them and with them. Jessica Charman wants to come in. She can talk. Anybody that's got the keys, they can come in and crash. Mike Gramajo, if you missed that interview that we had with Mike, it's a chance to catch up with Mike Gramajo and find out what's going on with everything down there with the Purple team. And speaking of Fridays and having the garage door opener, we bring in Bart Keeler. So, yeah, as I mentioned the garage door opener in the hour of chaos, I'm like, yep, there's Bart. So what's on your mind?
Well, I come at bringing breaking news, John.
You've broken news?
I have not, but I am reporting from a report that NWSL has submitted an application to U.S. Soccer to launch a Division II league starting in 2026, which, John, if you look at a calendar, is next year.
Yes.
Next year. So this is really cool. And I felt like our people should hear about this because I'm sure this will then also spark conversation of why don't they have one in Atlanta, which I'm sure will be fun to listen to.
Okay, so please. There you go. Now it's official.
It is.
All right.
So 8 existing NWSL clubs will field affiliated team for its inaugural season, should the plans be approved by U.S. Soccer. Obviously, again, as we're learning with USL, on the men's side, you do have to submit plans. But given that they are tied to the NWSL club and stadium, all 8 teams, which are Bay FC, Kansas City Current, North Carolina Courage, New York, New Jersey Gotham, Orlando Pride, Racing Louisville, and Seattle Reign, and the Washington Spirit. All 8 of those teams meet a supersede, by the way, the Division II requirement on the women's side, which is simply have 6 teams in your first year, and you need to be at 500,000 plus metro area and a 2,000 plus stadium. Well, all those teams meet that. So, John, this, for everyone following along, this is essentially going to be NWSL Next Pro.
Okay.
Um,
Go for it.
The goal is to have all of the 16 NWSL teams have an affiliated team in this league. They will do a double round robin first time around with playoffs at the end. So this is, I think, a good step for NWSL, but I think this is also a great way to open up a second division, a second tier of player development in this country. We've seen recently, obviously, with USL Super League trying to create another Division I league, and then WPSL bringing a professional league at the D2 level as well. This is just an evolving landscape for women's soccer. That's pretty awesome.
According to the documents obtained by CBS Sports, the application was filed on April 1.
Yeah.
File that date away. Yep. 6-page letter signed by NWSL Commissioner Jessica Berman, submitted to U.S. Soccer CEO and Secretary General J.T. Batson. In the letter, Berman likens the proposed Division II league to the minor league baseball system, writing that it is, quote, imperative that NWSL creates a robust pipeline for world-class athletes to fuel the explosive growth, meaning the existing Division I explosive growth. D2, once again, described as a transitional space between the college game and the professional game, one where young players can experience the, quote, technical, tactical, and mental demands. You see, I was trying to think of a T word that would go right at public speaking 101. So technical, tactical, and thought-provoking, maybe. Top flight soccer demands. So once again, you mentioned the 8 and playoffs at the end of the 14-game regular season. Number 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. You winners get into a championship. League confirmed the proposal in a following statement to CBS Sports. Several sentences long, but they want to look forward to building a strong foundation for future generations of players, officials, coaches, and ensure the continued advancement of the women's game. And so you mentioned the capacities that are there. All Division I teams expected to form an affiliated second tier within the first 4 years, a point in which the NWSL will have at least 16 expansion teams in Boston and Denver having their inaugural seasons next year. Teams unaffiliated with the NWSL also be welcome. And as you mentioned, so this would be NWSL Next Pro, where we have in MLS Next Pro, you have the Carolina Cores, you have the Chattanooga FCs, you have those, and that is what they encouraged from the beginning, is that MLS Next Pro wanted to have, in addition to the Major League Soccer franchises, they wanted to have the independent ownership groups to add franchises to the grid, and that's what you've gotten so far. So the NWSL following in those footsteps.
Yeah, and again, this makes a lot of sense for a couple of reasons, John, but then I'll explain why this doesn't make sense for another reason. So makes a lot of sense.
Other than the fact it's next year.
Well, I don't think that's the issue, John, when you look at the fact that these are existing teams with stadiums that exist. We're not building something really new. It's just about filling a roster. And as I have said plenty of times, there's a lot of women's professional soccer talent in this country.
Right.
But so from that sense, it makes sense, right? There are people out there who want a legitimate shot, and deserve a legitimate shot at proving they can be professional level and NWSL level quality players, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Second reason this makes a lot of sense is we have seen, especially this year, a lot of chatter. And obviously this goes back to 3 years ago with Olivia Moultrie, with a lot of teenagers who are good enough to play professionally, needing to come to NWSL because they have just outgrown where they are currently. And John, we see this in MLS Next Pro, where there are a lot of teenagers who are out of the academy level. You know what I'm saying? Yep. They are better than that. They're not truly MLS ready. And I think we're seeing that as well with NWSL, where a lot of these players are brought up because, well, she's good enough to be a professional, but maybe not full time. And the other reason is, well, crap, we need to bring up a player because we got a lot of injuries. And this reserve team essentially does provide them that. We obviously have seen that a few times with Atlanta United this year. Where it doesn't make sense is that NWSL teams do not have the academy structure that MLS and a lot of other professional leagues do. So obviously in the Premier League, you have, your professional Premier League clubs, and then they have the U21 league that, acts basically as a reserve league, but also kind of the, for lack of a better term, minor league, where you send a recovering star on there to make a recovery start. Right.
Yeah.
So I think this is a strategic move from NWSL to provide clubs with a great way to kind of build out their roster without having to build out their roster. They're just doing it on a whole separate place. But I'm curious what this means for the league, and if this was truly a response to the WPSL Pro move. I don't think it was, John, because WPSL Pro, no offense to Cherokee, it's a perfectly acceptable county. That's not a big market, if you will, for a soccer team. That's not even to the extent of Rome or Gainesville or even Peachtree City. Again, no offense to Cherokee. I'm not telling y'all don't matter, but that's not the market that you would expect for a truly professional team. So for NWSL to be looking at just creating second teams for their existing markets, I guess it gives a little bit more legitimacy to the club that they're going to be running. And hopefully they think that means they'll get more people come try out who in their minds are more worthy of a full professional contract.
Right. WPSL, for those that may not have recalled, there is no Division II Women's League. WPSL Pro announced the plans just last week to launch D2. They were initially going to be D3, but then they're launching as D2. You have to have a seven-figure commitment on the books when you present your proposal to the WPSL, and Georgia Impact is doing exactly that up in Cherokee County. And Cleveland, I believe, Cleveland Soccer Group, they were chasing after an NWSL group. They did not get it, the NWSL approval, and so then they went to the WPSL route, and so that's where they're trying to build their soccer-specific stadium and come online as a league starting in 2026, awaiting sanctioning from U.S. Soccer. Once again, they would be Division II if both get the all clear, and so you would have multiple leagues with the same divisional layout, and so we'll see what happens here as everything starts to head toward 26.
It's also somewhat of a understanding of the landscape where you look at the USL Super League, which I do not think is rivaling NWSL in any way right now, but they do also have the USL W League, which is somewhat of their minor league that's pre-professional at Division III level. Right. The number one takeaway, John, love the fact that we are getting more Division II women's soccer. Obviously, we had 0 coming into this year, and now we've added quite a bit. And that, I think that alone is great for the women's soccer professional pyramid here in this country, because that is something that I think when you're looking at building the health of your professional leagues, you need to have something below them where people can come and either just play because they want to play or possibly prove that they belong in the first division.
All right. So it is the last half hour. And so that means that we go into weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. And we run through all of the other matchups. And as folks come in the hour of chaos, we discuss what is on everybody's mind. Yes, we know Atlanta's taking on the purple team. We traditionally try to save that one for the last.
What's your favorite Orlando purple team moment, John? Yes, Parky. Now I got to ask you.
I think it's got to be Bendick face, doesn't it?
Okay. I think that's the best. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it has to be. Oh, by the way, MLS assignments, match day 10. Going back to our conversation that we had with Mark Geiger. And once again, I can't thank our friends at Pro for dialing us up with that particular Q&A session. There was one question that I left on the table that I will ask them next time. So, and that question is, when Pro is called to the principal's office, who is the principal? That's what I want to know. So if there are issues that a higher power feels need to be addressed with Pro, who is the principal in the principal's office? That's what I want to know. Who are they accountable to going up? That's what I want to know.
It's a great question because, again, that breakdown is you have PRSA Yes. Sorry, I had to make sure I got that acronym right.
You're trying to go
Professional PSRA, Professional Soccer Referee Association. There we go.
Yes.
PRSA is Public Relations Society.
Yes.
Anyway,
PS.
that's the group. I know. Anyway, PSRA
Yes.
is the union,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
then Pro is the assigning body,
Pro
right? And so they work together, but they're not the same function.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah. PSRA is there to benefit the officials that are engaged in Pro and Pro 2
Correct.
activities.
Right.
So like when people are mad at Pro, where do they go for the principal's office?
I would imagine it's MLS owners, to be quite honest. At least that would be what I would imagine is that's the reviewing process is, maybe not owners specifically, but you know what I mean. That's MLS's competition people.
Yeah, the alternate governors or whoever gets goosed into sitting into the Zoom call, basically. Yeah. All right, so here's our ref assignments, and we'll go through all of these here before we get into the matchups this weekend. FC Cincinnati Sporting Kansas City at TQL. Alan Chapman is the man in the middle. Ooh. Logan Brown, Gianni Facchini, Thomas Snyder are downstairs. Fotis Bazakos and Craig Lowry are upstairs. Toronto FC and NYC. See, we can't call them NYC FC anymore. The branding, according to Tyler Terrence, is NYC. At BMO, Pierre-Luc Lozier is the man in the middle. Gerard Carder-Lebuy, Oscar Mitchell-Carvalho, and Mario Al-Ayas are your folks downstairs. Kevin Stott and Tom Supple are upstairs for this one. Red Bulls and CF Montreal at SI Stadium. Tori Penso is in the middle. Kyle Atkins, Brooke Mayo, Luis Diego Arroyo are downstairs. Caroline Chenard and Jonathan Johnson are upstairs. Philadelphia and DC, Rubiel Vasquez is the man in the middle. Ian McKay, Megan Mullen, Lorenzo Hernandez are downstairs. JC Rivero, Mike Kampmeinert are upstairs. Purple Team and Atlanta United, Marcus de Oliveira is the man in the middle. Andrew Bigelow, Tyler Wyrostic, Matt Thompson are downstairs. Edvin Jurasevich and Joseph Batko are upstairs. Charlotte and the Revs, Victor Rivas is the man in the middle. Ryan Graves, Jason White, Sergi Boyko downstairs. Soren Stoichka and Mike Kampmeinert, who is doing the daily double, is upstairs. Crew in San Jose, Guido Gonzalez Jr. is the man in the middle. Jeffrey Greason, Justin Howard, Colin Radosov are downstairs. Kevin Terry Jr. and Craig Lowry are upstairs. San Diego RSL at Snapdragon, Ricardo Fierro is the man in the middle. Michael Barwagon, Eduardo Jeff, and Elvis Osmanovich are downstairs. Kevin Stott and Jeff Mushik are upstairs. Sir, yes?
No, sorry.
Oh, I thought there was a reaction to that particular crew, and I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, Ricardo Fierro, you're like, eh.
Well, interested to see. I mean, he's one of the newer referees, so that's
yes, that is
keeping
true.
An eye on those guys.
Yes, Copa Tejas, Houston, and Austin. Chris Penso is the man in the middle. Corey Parker, Catherine Nesbitt, Adorai Munroy are downstairs. Eunice Marakchi, Jonathan Johnson are upstairs. Nashville and Chicago, Rosendo Mendoza, man in the middle. Walt Heatherly, Diego Blas, Nabil Ben Salah are downstairs. Michael Radchuk and Tom Felice are upstairs. Colorado and Seattle, along with the Rabid Prairie Dogs in Commerce City, Colorado. Alexis De Silva is the man in the middle. Corey Richardson, Jose De Silva, John Matto are downstairs. Caroline Chenard, Fabio Tovar are downstairs. Sunday, Drew Fisher has Minnesota and Vancouver. Chris Elliott, Ben Pilgrim, and Sergei Demyanchuk are downstairs. Fotis Bazakos, Robert Schapp are upstairs. Messi and Friends in FCD. Lucas Zapala, man in the middle. Cameron Blanchard, Nick Uranga, Sergi Boyko are downstairs. Armando Villarreal, Craig Lowry are upstairs. Jair Marufo has LA and St. Louis City SC. Corey Rockwell, Adam Garner, and Joe Dickerson are downstairs. Daniel Radford, Fabio Tovar are upstairs. LAG and the Timbers. Philip Dujic is the man in the middle. Felicia Mariscal, Chris Wada, Malik Badawi are downstairs. Edvin Jurasevich, Robert Schapp are upstairs. Any of those assignments stick out to you for imbalance or advantage?
Well, I will say I think giving Chris Penso the Dynamo Austin match is a little bit interesting, only because, no offense to Chris, but I would have expected someone a little bit more
navigable.
Yeah. To get a rivalry match like that.
So
honestly, I feel like Dujic would have been a good assignment for that one, just because he does call a lot of fouls. And that's what you need in a game that's going to probably lead to people being very stupid. But we'll see. I mean, Penzo's obviously a very experienced referee, but yeah, a little bit interesting. I mean, there are some assignments that Rubio Vasquez with Philly, and then Guido Gonzalez Jr. with Cruz San Jose. I know that probably make more sense maybe from standings, but I just feel like, you know, you got an actual rivalry match in Copa Tejas. You would put someone a little bit more navigable.
Reading the room, I believe.
Yeah.
Having someone who can read the room.
Not stuck in their ways.
Yes. Jarrett's now joining us here as we go through weekend whip around and our juice boxes. Jarrett, your timing is impeccable.
Okay.
2:30, FC Cincinnati and Sporting. FC Cincinnati is a -161, Sporting a +407. Do I need to go any further?
I don't know if you need to go further, but like Sporting's been getting the dead cat bounce out of this.
Yeah.
And played a drunk ass game last week. Cincinnati's just kind of still waiting for the engine to turn over offensively, but what they're doing differently than some clubs that we will not name is that they are keeping the ball out of the net consistently.
Yes.
Which is ironic because when they played that club we will not talk about right now, they gave up 2 goals in the process. But they've been very good at keeping teams out of the net and keeping that big 0 on the board, which, hey, man, a lot of people got pissy when Frank de Boer wanted to play that way. Bet y'all miss that shit now, don't you?
There's the E rating for the day. Attaboy. He's in here for like 3 minutes, ready to go. All right, so Bart, FC Cincinnati Sporting.
You know what? I'm just glad that Sporting continues to exist, and I'm proud of them for continuing that.
That sounds like a draw.
Proud of them for actually getting rid of their manager when it was evident a year and a half ago.
Yeah. I think Sporting is. I'm sad we don't have them on the schedule this year. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
I'm nervous about it now.
But, well, yeah, that's true. But since he's also one of those teams that, when you look at the league overall, somehow feel like they're underperforming, but aren't. If that makes any sense.
Oh yeah.
And maybe that's just because Charlotte's on top, and I didn't expect that. But yeah,
I'm still like, man. I'm still trying to be careful about how I talk about Charlotte because I am impressed with them on one hand, and kind of like Minnesota, I don't know if it works in the playoff. Pep Biel might be your front runner for MVP, and he deserves his flowers. God forbid they go on the road though in the playoffs, because they've been horrendous on the road this year. They've been outstanding at home. They've also played a lot of games where they have not looked like the better team, except for like a 10-minute stretch.
So
you're not wrong.
Yeah. So you guys are saying, so Bart's staring at the draw at a +309, I think is what he's staring at.
Honestly, yes, but Cincy's problem is they just don't score enough / create enough chances. That's been their biggest kind of issue. And so if you're playing a team like Sporting that is climbing out of a hole, if that's the way you want to put it, I don't know. I would put my money on Cincy.
Yeah. So
I would put the Whoppers robbing eggs on Cincy, since we.
Yes, the Whoppers
Easter candy to go through.
There you go.
You want a player who would have been a fun pickup at the deadline for a team if Kansas City had stayed dead. They've kind of crawled. They've pushed a hand out of the grave. Now it's a matter of, do they dig themselves out, or do they get pushed back down? Daniel Shalhoub would have been a very fun pickup for a lot of teams, including Atlanta.
Well,
Daniel
that would
Shalhoub's
require us to actually make a move that benefited the team. But yep,
and not just Atlanta. A lot of teams could have used Daniel Shalhoub. This isn't just like an Atlanta thing. This is like Daniel Shalhoub has just been like a steady little source of productivity on left wing for them for a while.
Yeah, including their bad years. He's been pretty. Yeah.
He's not putting up. He's not always going to put up double-digit goals and assists, but he just goes out there and produces. Speaking of former Kansas City players, though, Johnny Russell's going to RSL.
Yes,
I'd have taken him.
Yeah,
if for no other reason, Johnny Russell's a bit of a shit kicker. I'd have taken it.
Oh man, Toronto hosting NYC. Toronto's a plus 150. Draws a plus 227. Bard NYC's a plus 181 on the road.
Whatever you want, don't put your money on Toronto. Draw or NYC, don't put your money on Toronto ever.
Yeah, that's not a good look. Jarrett?
Don't trust Toronto. I still don't know if Robin Fraser's a great manager. And again, I've said this every week. I'll continue to say it. We won't know if he's a great manager because he's managing Toronto, and Toronto's kind of a mess.
Yes, true.
Apparently falls. I think he's. I genuinely think he's going to fall into the Chris Armas category, which is, I don't know that I've ever heard anyone have a crossword to say about Chris Armas. Like, he's very well thought of as a person.
Yeah.
No one really knew how good of a manager he was because when Toronto brought him in, that roster wasn't built to play his style, and now he's flourishing in Colorado. God bless him. Robin Fraser seems like a very good guy. Don't know how good he is.
Red Bulls, Jarrett, minus 120 hosting CF Montreal to plus 353.
Oh, Red Bulls.
Art?
Red Bulls isn't perfect by any means. Like, they've had some really derpy performances.
Yes, they have derped.
I'd like to know the money line for Montreal to score.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
like, that would be, I would take the over under of Montreal of 0.5 and go under even, you know?
Okay. So here's, all right. So your numbers, by the way.
Gracious.
It's like you acting like John can't pull this right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's I'm sitting here and looking at like match facts and things like that and head to head and all that kind of stuff. So your total, basically this is over under total. So this is both teams to score. Here we go. Here's what you're hunting for. Both teams to score. Yes is anywhere from a minus 110 to a minus 128. No, both teams to score anywhere from the same margin, 108 to 122. So slightly less in the juice boxes for both teams to score, the answer being no. But you can get it's gone down to 128 in the highest number.
I would say that New York, I know this isn't the point, but I would say like 2-0 New York.
Okay.
I would put more money on New York to score multiple goals than Montreal to score one.
There you go. Philadelphia Union, DC United. Jarrett, Union's a minus 137. DC's a plus 334.
Oh, it's Union. DC's in a full mode rebuild, man. Like, there's a reason they gave you Mateusz Klich and are paying for him.
And yet the same amount of points as us.
Yeah. Therein lies the problem. Or
Capital
one of
T,
them, for
capital
there
P.
are many. For one of them, for there are many. But they're in a full mode rebuild, man. Like, their philosophy right now is, how do we get the ball to Christian Benteke?
Kind of like Charlotte with Zaha. Chris, go run it.
Wait, why would you get it to Zaha right now? No. The thing with Charlotte right now is get the ball to Pep Biel and let him do shit.
Mm-hmm.
Zaha doesn't matter. No, Zaha does not matter right now. Zaha's taking an average shot from outside the box. Like, that's his average shooting distance.
Yeah.
You have a bull moose for a striker. You have a inconsistent but talented right winger in Leal Abada, who's a youth national team player for Israel.
Yep.
Zaha gets fouled a lot and bitches about it constantly and seems to take himself out of the game in the process. Charlotte runs through Pep Biel. I could give a golden goddamn about Wilfred Zaha. I could not care less. Because no, it's not going through Wilfred Zaha. It's not. It's going through Pep Biel, and God bless him for it. He's been amazing. He's still on loan. They haven't even locked him down. God, you better lock him down, Charlotte, because you know somebody else will.
Yes, and speaking of which, they're a minus 133 hosting the Revs.
Yes, we're speaking ill of people who were tied on the table or above us or below us, because nobody's perfect. It's MLS. Yeah. Everyone is prone in MLS.
Well, look, Jared is speaking ill of Will Zaha
and find themselves on the floor next to a dead pig.
Jared is speaking ill of Wilfred Zaha. You need to be very. He's not saying Charlotte.
Wilfred Zaha is a damn good player, but he has not been
correct.
But Wilfred Zaha has also not come into this league and set it on fire.
Right, and we are speaking ill of DC because they're DC.
Because they punted on the season. Yeah, they got the same points as us. That's an us problem. That's not a DC problem. That's an Atlanta United problem.
Yeah. DC at 9 points is the expected.
Yes.
But yeah, so
I'm still pissed off at a lot of people who wanted to go after Noah Cobb when he got skied last year in that hat trick game. From Christian Benteke, as if Christian Benteke did not lead the known universe in aerial duels 1.
Yes, this and every other planet in the solar system.
I mean, name
whatever.
a center back who hasn't got mossed on.
Yes, people are like, I don't know if Noah Cobb's that guy. He got beat by Benteke.
Yeah, you're right. Noah Cobb is not that guy to beat Benteke in an aerial duel. Correct.
Yeah, honestly, what they did to really kind of put Benteke under wraps in the go back and watch the Leagues Cup game.
Bracket him.
They put Efrain Morales on him,
and
Efrain Morales just basically beat him with a tire iron the entire time. Remember, the goals you gave up in that game were a freaking Golazo by DC, and then Josh Cohen rolling the ball to DC.
Yeah, and then you match Benteke with
Efrain Morales beat him with a tire iron for 90 minutes, which is how you have to play him.
Yeah, you do.
Because he's such a physical presence with such immense body control and position.
Yeah, and if Dean Smith doesn't want Patrick Adjumong, I know a lot of teams that would. Yeah, so, yeah.
I hope they want him. My whole thing, this isn't me dumping on Zaha and saying he's a bad player. He's a great player. This is me saying Charlotte has been doing all this. Wilfried Zaha not really doing what I think they expected, what everyone expected of him. Like, he scored that goal against Atlanta on, like, basically a putback, and everyone at MLS Digital lost their ever-loving minds and tried to, like, coronate him that day. Hasn't really – he's produced – I think he's been very good off the ball with his gravity and his movement. He's going to draw fouls and get you in good positions, but he hasn't carried them. Honestly, it kind of makes them scary in that regard. I'm still a little nervous because I need them to go show me something on the road, but that's a me problem.
Yes. Oh. All right. So we got to get through 9 other matches before we talk about Atlanta and the Purple Team. So, Bart, Crew and the Earthquakes. Crew's a -208. Quakes are a
Yeah, I would. San Jose is good. San Jose is fun, but Crew, that's my money.
Bart is correct.
I would put the Reese's eggs on the Crew at home.
I agree completely with what Bart said. San Jose is fun.
Yes.
As Jason got pissy with me last week about, I took San Jose basically lead the league in all of the offensive categories that should lead to goals. But when I say that about Atlanta in the past, I get shouted down. But when I say about San Jose,
20.7 expected goals for, but 18.1 expected goals against. They're fun.
You better have that.
Yeah.
You have Arango at the strike, and you have Joseph coming off the bench and Spot starting, and you're not asking him to run 25 miles anymore, which he seems to have adapted to, which God bless him. Like, yeah, they're fun, but also the Crew are just the Crew, and there's almost like there's something like Galactic Empire about them that is both fun but also kind of depressing. Like, oh my God, the inevitability is just going to crush me.
Yep. So Jarrett, San Diego FC hosting RSL to -135.
San Diego.
Bart.
Yeah, and RSL is without Diego Luna, so why even watch them now?
No, they rescinded the red.
Oh, that's right.
They rescinded the red because Pro screwed up.
Because it was
inconclusive
dubious that he got it in the beginning with. I think again, both of those guys should have got a card. No, the red card was upheld because apparently they couldn't find an angle that didn't show. I don't know. Yeah, still, San Diego at home.
Yeah,
they've proven to be pretty good.
Copa Tejas, Bart, Houston a +110 hosting Austin at a +250.
I weirdly am gonna take Austin. I would put my full money on Austin. Houston is still. I don't like talk about a disappointment. Yeah, I'm going to make the statement. I think Houston is way more disappointing this year than Atlanta.
Okay.
Because Houston had a good last year. Like, actually good, showed improvement, did things. Now, there are some transfers that they made or that happened that maybe dropped their floor a lot. But I think a lot of people are expecting Houston to be where Austin is in the table. And they're not. So I would put my full money on Austin.
Jarrett.
I don't believe in either one of these teams. I guess I believe in Austin a little bit more. I guess.
It's like saying you believe in Houston a little bit less.
I do believe in Brad Stuver, and I do think that is one of those things where I think he and there are a couple of goalkeepers in this league who actively make their team better, and Stuver is one of those. Christian
Brad
Kalina is the other one.
Stuver
The
is-
only reason Charlotte's as good as they are is because Christian Kalina.
You
They
ain't-
should have given up
Christian
3
Kalina
goals to
keeps
Atlanta in
shipping.
the first half.
Christian Kalina like the day Christian Kalina starts to slip is the day it gets dark in Charlotte real quick.
Listen,
because
Charlotte,
you're
7
right.
goals against on the season, right? You know what their expected goals against is? 13.1.
Yeah,
That's
he's a
6 goal
mutant.
difference. Yeah.
He's been a mutant for years. Like that's just what he's been.
He has become the new Andre Blake. Not that Andre Blake is bad, but Andre Blake was the dude who was the reason a lot of times Philly wasn't giving up all the goals they probably should have been giving up.
Yeah.
Christian Kalina has taken that.
See what you're getting into, Bart, is one of my things that makes me nervous about Charlotte is that they play more defensive, they sit more, and they'll play you on the counter.
Chances.
They
still give up a lot of chances.
Yes, that they play defensive, but they're still giving up chances. Now, you can talk whatever trash you want when you have Christian Kalina, as you should, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because if we had Christian Kalina, I would be letting everyone and their mother know. That's how I would introduce myself on the phone. I live in the city where Christian Kalina is saving everything under the sun. But if he's not saving everything under the sun, it gets weird. It gets really weird. Brett Stuver is going to end up in basically whatever the soccer goalkeeper equivalent to PTSD treatment is, though. Like, you know those soldiers in World War I who were like at the Somme or at Verdun, where they were just getting shelled for months on end. Like, it's just the sound of shells hitting the ground for months on end, and it was constant day and night. That's going to be Brad Stuver because he's been in a firing range since Austin started. Like, he's like leading the known universe in saves every year. He has to, though, because they're going to get forward and they're going to give him chances even when they don't get forward. God bless him for it. But, like, I want one day for Brad Stuver to not have to do something because I feel like he should be able to do the Thanos and look out on a grateful universe and rest.
This might be a good year for it. Who knows? Austin is doing things. So, again, my money's on Austin because I have more players there that I believe can be good.
I'm with you that I'm disappointed with Houston. I'm disappointed with all of Texas. I thought Dallas would click better, and a lot of that is Petter Musa being great, and Lucho Acosta just not really clicking yet. But I thought Dallas would be better than they are too.
Nashville and Chicago, Jarrett. Nashville to -111, Chicago north of +300.
I am. I believe in 3G. I believe once again that Greg Berhalter might have been a good, not great national team coach. Like, still stuck a thorn in Mexico's eye repeatedly, which is funny. Went to the World Cup and tried to play and did successfully at times. It wasn't perfect. There were plenty of issues. I think you've seen a lot worse national team managers than Greg, and I think he's a much better club manager. And I still firmly hope that he wins a trophy this year. Don't know what trophy it would be. I hope he wins a trophy this year with Chicago because it would burn down U.S. soccer Twitter, and I want to see it.
Well, this is the Berhalter Derby. I mean, you've got Greg and you've got BJ. I am going to go with the draw.
Okay. Draw is a +256. So, Bart, Colorado hosting Seattle. Juice Boxers threw a blanket over the whole thing. Basically, it's a +165 either side, draws a +229, so they don't even know.
I don't know either because Seattle is underperforming, I think it's fair to say. Colorado is, I think, wants to be good, but haven't been good. They've been above average. I'm going to go with Colorado at home.
Colorado at home. Go look at just about any Colorado home game, and you'll notice it in like the 65th minute. Watch the way the game shifts in like the 65th minute, just because it gets to that point where you can't breathe anymore.
And Seattle going from literal sea level.
Yep. So you've got that. Sunday, Minnesota United, Vancouver. Minnesota United, Jared a -102. Vancouver a +278 coming off of their win last night, and I don't think they care.
Give me Minnesota. I don't like. Okay, some of this is stylistic. Some of this is me being a little bitchy and stylistic about things.
Yeah.
And kind of in a mood as it stands. Minnesota might set the record for lowest average possession in MLS. I know that people are possession averse almost at this point because of the way Atlanta has played since, let's check the notes, 2020.
Yeah.
Where, like we've talked about, dominating possession. Minnesota has the ball, like, they played a game this year where they had the ball like 29% of the time.
Yeah, don't care.
That ish will put me to sleep, man.
Yeah.
I get you can play out on the counter. That's great. I'm still curious how Julian Gressel fits out there, just because you're a team that's you're going to be asked to defend over 60% of the time, and he's not a defensive player. Now, when he gets out on the counter, yeah, he's going to run. He's going to hit early crosses, and that's going to be incredibly dangerous. Asking him to defend 60% of the time, I don't know about that. I'm not 100% sold on that, because I've also watched two of the most reputable managers that have ever come through this league bench him in the playoffs when it mattered most. So you can call me a hater if you want to, but I also watched two of the best managers, two of the more well-regarded managers in this league, bench him in the playoffs for more defensive security. And now he's going to a team that's going to defend a lot. Still give me Minnesota in this, because Vancouver played in the midweek and played an emotional game last night and just stuck Messi in the face with a skunk, and it was great.
And speaking of which, Messi and friends barter a -182, hosting FC Dallas at a +442. Is Messi mad?
I'm actually curious how this is going to set up, because, yes, I think they're going to be mad. But, I mean, that travel from Vancouver midweek, and a short midweek at that.
Yeah, man.
Back
That's
to Miami.
cool.
I'm interested to see how that plays for, the old guys. And that doesn't mean I think they'll lose. I'm just curious. I do think Miami should be the favorite and will win. But I'm very curious how that works, because, look, Miami had no business beating Columbus last week. No business whatsoever.
Agreed.
And they got lucky. And I'll give Columbus credit. They filled that stadium with a lot of Crew fans up in the city that has a river that catches on fire. But
Factory of Sadness, baby.
I will say this. I have enjoyed multiple trips to Cleveland. It is a very cute, big city. Anyway, did not deserve to win that game. I'm wondering if karma was this midweek, or if karma will stick with them for this Saturday or for this Sunday. That's my question.
All right. Jarrett, LAFC in all caps. LAFC is a -189. St. Louis City.
All caps. LAFC still can't win.
+475. Your draws a +322.
LAFC. I'm sorry, LAFC. I was thinking Galaxy.
LAFC.
Sorry, I'm. Carry on.
Yeah, LAFC.
Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking Galaxy, just because the Galaxy are like literally winless.
Bad.
Oh my god, dude! Like, to the point now where I'm like, I don't know if this is a Ricky Pooch thing anymore, or if this is just we need to get you like in an MRI machine now kind of bad.
Well,
give me LAFC. I guess I'm not 100% sold on LAFC.
Yeah. LAFC at
I'll
home.
take it. Yeah, maybe Olivier Giroud gets another goal. I'm still absolutely floored that they were not made. He was not slandered more by the mothership.
Yeah,
for going this long without scoring a goal in MLS. I feel like any other team, you bring in like a known World Cup winning international striker, and he goes this long without scoring, we would have been hearing about it every damn week on the wrap-up show or on pregame or whatever, or on every podcast known to mankind that the league puts out. We never heard about it while Olivier Giroud was just kind of strolling through the meadow. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he is Mr. July on the calendar, I would imagine. LAG a -105. Favored against Portland Timbers at a +242. Draws a +292, Bart.
False. No, Portland. What Jared just said. Copy, paste. Sorry. No. Portland.
So that gets us to the matchup involving Atlanta United and the Purple Team. Purple Team's a -133. Draws a +278. And Atlanta United, Jared, a +355.
I'm not like this is going to sound defeatist, and I don't want it to. So whatever, take it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not nearly as worried about the result this week as I am the fight. If you lose this 2-0, but you come out, you throw some hips into people, you pick up a couple cards, you get into a mass confrontation, you put shots on goal, and you have 11 guys who have each other's back, I'm not going to be happy, but I'm going to be less irate.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like I said Monday, the thing that bothers me right now, and talked about this with Jason after the Tuesday game the other night, was how often it feels like they don't have each other's back. When somebody makes a mistake, like when Brooks Lennon dribbled into basically a giant bear trap for the second goal, it didn't feel like anybody picked him up. It did not feel like whenever there's a mistake, they're picking each other up. Go watch the teams that are near the top of the table. When somebody makes a mistake, somebody else slides in to back them up, to pick them up, to carry each other. They work as a phalanx. Right now, it feels like it's not working as a phalanx. They're not picking each other up. They're not correcting each other's mistakes by being there to make sure that mistakes don't compound. I need to see that. Need to see some togetherness in it. And like I said, you want to win in Orlando every damn time. It's a rivalry. Miss me with your non-rivalry bullshit. However, right now, you're not in a position where it looks like you're going to go get that. I would love to be wrong. Go show me fight, though. Go show me that you're going to play as a team. Go show me that you're going to pick each other up, that you're going to be fiery and under control, but also maybe stick a thorn in somebody's paw. Go show me that, please. Let's start with that and then work our way up. I'm not asking you to climb the mountain in 1 week, but I am asking you to put a foot on the mountain.
Art.
Orlando's one of the most they are who we thought they are teams, in the fact that they look three wins, 4 draws. They marginally overperform both XG for and against, meaning they're gonna give you a very consistent performance. And with a coach that's been there for 3-4 years now, my concern is Orlando is just a more stable soccer club right now than Atlanta United. And that is probably the greatest indictment of this team right now, is that Orlando looks calm, cool, and collected compared to Atlanta United. I'm with Jarrett, though, that I don't think we win, but you need to prove to me that all the things you keep telling us in the media are going to come true. Because I sat here and listened to y'all last week tell me about how, this pre-match press conference was great. Players were coming out and they were saying they said all the right things. And what happened on last Saturday night, was shameful. So y'all need to stop talking and show the hell up. Prove to me you're ready to fight. Prove to me you're ready to battle for each other, because y'all ain't done that yet this year. And it's very sad as someone who pays a lot of money to watch this team week in and week out. That's all I'm asking for. Prove to me that I'm paying money for something worth watching.
And that is another week here at SDH. Once again on Friday, the hour of chaos, thanks to Bart, who came in with breaking news. Bart came bearing breaking news on a Friday. And so we had that to start things off here as well. And as always, it's great to catch up with Jarrett when Jarrett can come in and crash. Great to have Bradley Wright Phillips once again. Let me get the title description, the multiple business card. Analyst MLS Countdown, Analyst MLS 360, Analyst MLS Wrap Up on MLS Season Pass. So we get to catch up with MLS BWP this morning, and that was really cool. Oh, yeah, caught up with BWP to start hour number 2. Had a little bit of a crossover with Park and BWP.
No, I know you did that. Charlotte has news.
Oh, Charlotte has news?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Charlotte has waived Ben Bender.
Okay. So Ben Bender, let me check our friends at MLS Players and the salary guide. So let me see what Ben Bender might have been bringing to the table here. So
he was the number 1 pick a couple of years their first year. But dude's been like a scrappy little SOB since he got there. I've liked him.
Yep, central midfielder, guaranteed compensation, $125,000. So if anybody wishes to grab Ben Bender on a free, I believe they can do so as long as he fits within their salary cap specifications, and they don't have to wait for any time in the near future. So Ben Bender out the door. Obviously, that shows the thoughts that Dean Smith has about his midfield, right now, and doesn't want the former number 1 pick out of Clemson. And so we will continue the Palace intrigue involving that. But Michael Parkhurst, crossover with Michael Parkhurst and a crossover with MLS BWP. Then it was Jarrett and it was Bart here on a Friday. So coming up,
I had to give you the explicit rating.
Absolutely you did. So top of the hour, once again, it is Soccer's in session. We catch up with Mike Pettit, the head coach at Callaway on the boys and girls sides. We've got an interview with Chris Romano, the boys coach at I was about to say Orlando County. It was Oconee County. Girls team won last night on the air against Johnson Gainesville. Boys play today. We caught up with Coach Romano before the matchup, and we'll play that. We'll get your brackets ready, get you ready for day 4 of the high school playoffs here. Soccer's in session. We're catching up with our friends at USC Upstate because they have a really interesting thing going on with their soccer program. That's going to be a tape piece. That'll be out this weekend, in addition to everything else involving Atlanta United and Orlando City and the Purple team. That's going to be on 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. Atlanta United 2, FC Cincinnati 2. That is on Sunday at 2. Pregame show ahead of that here on the network as well. For soccerdownhere.mixler.com and the Mixler app, follow Atlanta United, and our coverage of the 2s continues as well. And when we know where we're going to be in round number 2, we will let you know for the GHSA playoffs, but that's going to come over the weekend and early next week. Any last thoughts on the week in the overall? We'll start with Bart.
Look, I think we have, the breaking news I brought in with, we have a very evolving, in a good way, I think, soccer landscape in this country. We owe it to ourselves and to the sport to continue to support it. And let's hope that we can continue to grow this game here as we head into 2026.
2026, that's 8 months. It's almost 7 months away. Jarrett, last thoughts on the week on the whole for you.
This is once again my annual reminder for you to go follow the Scottish Women's Professional League. The SWPL just keeps throwing bangers every single year. Usually it's traditionally been a 3-horse race between Rangers, Celtic, and Glasgow City. Last year, Celtic won the title on the last day of the year in the last 5 minutes.
Yep.
With a game winner. This season, and they do the split just like they do in the men's side, where they split the top. They split the 12 teams to a championship group and then a relegation group. With a couple games left, Hibs are in first place on 64 points. Rangers are on 62. Glasgow City's on 61. The Celtic, Hearts, and Motherwell are just kind of down there meandering. Celtic has not been good, which is kind of, it's been weird. Like, a lot of what they did last year was really good with Fran Alonso in charge. Then Fran Alonso leaves in the middle of the day, takes the job in Houston, doesn't stay with the Houston Dash, like just disappears off the face of the earth. Still don't know what the actual blue hell happened in Houston. He's over in Spain now, I think. But they end up winning the league on the last day of the season. But they haven't been as good this year, sitting on 56 points. But again, this league constantly produces insane end of the season situations. A couple of years ago, 2 years ago, they went into decision day with Rangers, Glasgow City, and Celtic, all capable of winning it within 2 points of each other. And Rangers won it in like the 93rd minute to seal the title. This year, it's Hibs on top, 2 points ahead, and 3 teams separated by 3 points. Keep an eye on the SWPL. It's going to get dumb, and it's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to watch something that very likely is going to come down to the last 20 minutes once again.
Fran Alonso, by the way, is coaching Liga Femenine Deportiva La Coruña. That's where
I have no idea what his damage was, but when he was in Houston, he took like a leave that they claimed was like medical, and they were not very clear about it, and then he just never came back.
Yep, 6 months in, hired 3 days before Christmas in 2023. Left unspecified reasons June 22nd of 24 on the 1st of October, parted ways. November 25, happy Thanksgiving, appointed manager of Liga F Club Deportiva de La Coruña. So that's where Fran Alonso is right now. So that's your plans. That's your weekend. We've laid it all out for you. You know where you can go and watch things. You know where we're recommending you go watch things. There's a watch party for Atlanta United as well, so you can be a part of that as they take on the purple team this weekend. Everybody, please be safe. As always, thanks for hanging out with us for another week here of SDH AM. And because it is Friday, it's time to put a bow on things, which means we get one message to you to wrap up the week. Much applause to y'all. Play it safe. Here's your message. We'll catch up with you soon.
The war was on. The keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress, the streets